Gamers, specifically my NASCAR gamers out there, welcome back to the channel. It is AJ, your average gamer here. Got some news for you guys. As you can see over there, NASCAR 25 Developer Diary number 3 has dropped. We are going to watch this together, and we are going to give some opinions on it. So let's get this guy going in full screen. Before we get into it, though, I do want to say that if the video seems a little bit choppy, obviously I do not have a desktop built yet. We are still doing this off the laptop, and I need to upgrade the RAM in it. You know, the I could usually stream or do gaming, and I can't do both, and I don't know if the video plus me recording will do the same thing, so we're gonna find out here. But yeah, we have the NASCAR 25 Developer Diary. I caught this while I was at work this morning when it dropped, and we are gonna watch this together and give some opinions. So let's get into it.
I'm really excited that we've announced the 4 NASCAR National Series in our 4 game. For the first time ever, we're going to feature the ARCA Menards Racing Series and entry point for the career mode. Featuring all 4 series allow us to give the player a complete experience.
I'm going to go ahead and pause that right there, just right off the bat. ARCA, the trucks, the Xfinity, and the Cup Series will be in the game. It is very much a Dirt to Daytona type feel. Kind of also pretty similar to the NASCAR Heat Series, just ARCA instead of the dirt. I like that. I'm curious as development goes along with the game to see what the track list looks like, because obviously ARCA races on some places that NASCAR does not, at least in their top 3 touring series. So this track list could be pretty crazy when it's all said and done. So that'll be really cool to watch. Also, I think that with iRacing, you know, just the grind of career mode would be a lot more intensive. So I'm hoping that's the case at least. But yeah, let's continue.
That somebody might make to become a champion.
So why having ARCA trucks, Xfinity, and Cup is so important, especially from a design perspective, is we finally get to do what is a realistic career mode that somebody would actually follow in real life. Think about the drivers who started in ARCA, you know, cut their teeth in ARCA, went then to trucks, got noticed, got to Xfinity, and finally made their mark in Cup.
So yeah, Todd and I spent a lot of time just...
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stop right there again. I believe Real Radman made a comment on this as well, and I agree with them very much. So Radman, my man, appreciate you. Shout out. Yeah, so that's kind of what used to happen with ARCA, then trucks, Xfinity, and Cup, but nowadays it's kind of more or less if you have a paycheck for a team owner, you could kind of buy your way into a truck series ride, sometimes even the Xfinity series. But yeah, I mean, working your way up the NASCAR ranks, obviously you would go, local, limited late, super lates, then you go into like a touring series like the K&N East or West. I'm not sure what they're called now, but back in the day they were K&N East and West, and then it would be their ARCA, truck, Xfinity, Cup. But yeah, no, I'm again doing it instead of like the Dirt series, like Dirt to Daytona and the Heat series, going in the real life authentic ladder, starting with ARCA is actually pretty neat. So I do like that a lot.
Talking about the feeling of what it would be like if you were a young kid and you're starting your grandpa's shop, and his shop was this like dirty old gas station, you know, and he just kind of said, hey, you know, you can use my
Seeing
shop,
those sketches
there's
are really
the tools, cool. Have at it. And then through that you started to realize that you actually had some talent, and you worked your way up, and you went from a shop to there was a pole barn or a metal building that's, you know, also on the property, and that's where you run your truck team. And then you start to get more sponsors and you start to have more success, so then you move up to the Xfinity series.
So with the multiple colored boxes here, I'm assuming that for the lower series you might be able to have a couple of series in one garage, or I think Radman pointed this out in his video. This could be these are obviously just placeholders for now, but these would be pit boxes for Daytona International Speedway. I'm gonna make sure I'm at 1080p. I am not. Wow. Okay. So now we're at 1080p. My bad. Yeah. So this could be Daytona, or it could be like in your shop for two different series, maybe.
And then at that point you can build your own shop, and you get more success.
So yeah, just kind of looking through these, it looks like they have different floor surfaces. They have references here, wall material, all that sort of stuff. So this looks like probably that they took this at like a ARCA, like a small family-owned ARCA team shop or something like that. It's kind of what that looks like.
That's there, and it just keeps steamrolling, and then all of a sudden you get to the point where you're in the Cup Series, and that's where we built the Taj Mahal of race shops.
So okay, this is the one that interested me the most watching this video when I was at work. So it would appear that you could have multiple size shops. You obviously you start in like a pole barn, like they said. Get your get your ARCA program going, your truck program. I'm curious as to once you make it to Cup and you have this big space, if you have just different areas of the shop for all four series, or if they're like separate buildings kind of a deal. That would be kind of interesting to find out as this developer diary series progresses.
In the career mode, you'll be tasked with making decisions on how to spend your time. And it's not all about just what you do on the racetrack. You're going to have to do things to build your reputation. And that might be charitable work or a movie opportunity. There's going to be things that your sponsors ask you to do. And you'll have to balance between building your reputation and your brand and being successful on the racetrack.
Having access to Dale Jr.
So yeah, I kind of like that quite a bit, actually. I mean, we had that reputation thing with NASCAR Heat 3, 4, and 5, where if you were racing good on the racetrack, the drivers would message you after the race, and then you can compliment them, or you could insult them, and that would affect your reputation one way or the other, hero, villain. But this seems a little bit more involved, where there's incentive for you to either build your reputation or build your team, and you have to choose between the two. I believe Radman also said this in his video that it probably could get boring after a little while, but as like a for the first iteration of the game and watching this feature develop through iterations of the game, I think that this is a good starting base point. I think that it could definitely be expanded upon, but with the first game, how far can they stretch the career mode without it having too many bugs or all those sort of things? I really think as a starting point that this would be really good, because again, I mean, if you have to balance between building your race team and building your reputation, try to find that balance between the two. I think for a first game that is perfectly acceptable, and like I said, that could be expanded upon year over year on releases for sure.
Here has been amazing. We've never had the ability to work.
Oh, okay. So I saw this, and this looks, obviously it's New Hampshire. This looks like the newer updated track model, because I think iRacing just had it released, or they're about to have it released. But these textures look pretty crisp. It definitely looks like an Unreal 4 engine. And I know that they use laser scans for all of their data. So the difference between like an iRacing track and car versus what you would see in like a NASCAR game, I wonder how those textures either translate or don't translate at all. Like how similar will this end up looking to iRacing, or how much more like vivid and how much more detail can it have in game, being that they're porting it over to an Unreal Engine. I'm just kind of curious how that would work out too, and I'm sure we'll see more I'm sure we'll see more as the game developer diaries continue, and then once we start getting trailers and stuff like that. But I mean, that looks
work with a driver
that already looks better than NASCAR,
and not just somebody who just comes in.
Pretty on par with what 21 Ignition looked like. I did like the look of 21 Ignition, just obviously we all know that that just was not a very good game.
And plays the game and says that's good. He's actually actively involved in helping design the game.
Designing out the career mode was a Herculean effort because you want to make sure that you have all the right details in there about what makes a NASCAR career really authentic, but at the same time, you don't want to make everybody have to go through all the minutia of managing a race team and the finances and the...
So, I know that my camera is down in the bottom right-hand corner here, but it says current sponsor, Golden Racing. It gives a payout per race, sponsor incentives, which is pretty similar to what we've seen in the NASCAR Heat Series. Over here, your net earnings, this is going to be a big one. This looks a lot like what it used to be way back in the golden era of EA Sports with NASCAR Thunder 2003 and 2004. This is what this looks like a lot. So it looks like there's a lot of stuff to balance. And then obviously you got your WP. I don't know what that stands for yet. Your RD, that might be like engineering and development type stuff. A reputation scale over here. You can see that it gives you your seasons up here. So this is what it would look like in once you get to the Cup Series. So this is awesome. I like this a lot. This obviously looks like the view from your office being the owner. I like this a lot. It breaks down everything down here. Your winnings, sponsor payout, incentive payout, employee bonuses, your expenses for the staff, part expenses. This is going to be a big one. And then also tire management. You gotta think of that on a weekly basis too. So there's a lot of management that's going to go on in this career mode. And if it's like this from the ARCA series all the way up to the Cup series, this career mode is looking like it could be an absolute grind out, which would be great for content creators because really, other than like Thunder 2004, the older NASCAR games, I mean, NASCAR Heat 5 really didn't have that appeal to me. I skipped the dirt series altogether. I started in the truck series, and once you get past like your second season in the series, once you get your car up to like 85, 90 on your upgrades, it's really easy to win the championship without a 100 car. So it looks like this is going to be a lot more in depth. I'm curious to see what that development looks like. I'm really curious to see the R&D center, how that works. I'm curious to see how all this stuff breaks down, and hopefully we get more videos about that in the future. But this looks awesome.
Employees. So really, it's a nice balance, and I think we've pulled this off really well in NASCAR 25, where if you want to just concentrate as being a driver, you can do that while mildly being involved in some of the decision making. But if you want to go in there and manage every last little detail, you're going to be able to do that as well.
I feel like it gives.
Yeah. So basically, the way that I look at that is in NASCAR, the Heat series, you had your contracted teams, and then you could race on your own team. I'm kind of thinking that's going to be pretty similar to what that was. I think if you just do the driver thing, it'll probably be more focused on like your reputation and things like that. And then if you're the owner, it encompasses everything completely. So I wonder how separated it's going to be and how much, I suppose, like each one kind of would affect the other. I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, we won't know that until the game comes out. But yeah, let's move on to see what Mr. Majeski says.
Them more of a perspective of how it actually works, right? Coming up through the ranks, deciding how to upgrade your vehicle, right? Those are decisions that you've got to make in real life. Do you want to buy a new set of shocks? I only have this allocated amount of money, right? Do I buy a new set of shocks? Do I, rebuild my engine? Do I buy a new set of tires? And those are the decisions that, like I said, I've had to make in my career, and to be able to correlate, that story and create, sort of your own blueprint in your career, I think is a neat aspect of the game.
One of the cool things.
Yeah, so obviously what he's talking about was his time doing the super late model tour before he got into the trucks and Xfinity series racing. And that's a big part of it, obviously. I mean, even at the homegrown racetrack level, I mean, yeah, when you go out super late model racing and you tear up a car, um, you know, do you go replacing parts or buying new tires? I mean, he's exactly right. And if this career mode really, like I said, if this career mode really does encompass that, this will be a grind out for career mode. And for NASCAR content creators, this is going to be a fantastic career mode experience, it sounds like.
Things about finishing a race in this game is going to be how your performance has resonated within the social media world. So it's not just going to be drivers who might be commenting on how you performed during the race on social media, but some of the most popular NASCAR social media influencers will be chiming in as well. Part of this game being...
Okay, so before we get into this stage here, the whole social media thing, I could take it or leave it, to be honest. I enjoyed it when it was first a thing in the NASCAR Heat Series, but after a while, it just kind of gets stale. Like I said, you're basically just complimenting or insulting drivers. It's kind of like, meh, whatever. Uh, but I guess it depends on what their implementation of it is. Like, how much more ramifications does it have? Instead of just making you a hero or a villain. So I suppose it depends on their implementation, but I guess it would be kind of cool too to have other personalities like Dale Jr. or Bob Pockrass or Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer, Larry McReynolds. Like if it encompasses all of the NASCAR world, I suppose that'd be pretty neat.
All about the driver's perspective is the interaction that drivers...
So yeah, I'm just gonna back this up here just a little bit.
Part of this...
So yeah, this is the first model that we've seen for anything other than the Cup car. We saw the Cup car in either Developed Diary 1 or 2. They showed it in the garage. This is obviously a truck model. The truck model looks really good. It literally just looks like a direct port from iRacing from this POV. Which if it is, I mean, that's cool. Obviously, this is probably a pre-alpha build, so it'll probably look pretty similar to iRacing until they start adding in, shaders and how light bounces off of things and all that sort of stuff, just because of the iRacing engine versus the Unreal engine. And I'd imagine that, they probably modified an Unreal engine to be kind of similar to what they're already working with on iRacing, just to make, transferring data that they already have a little bit more simpler. But yeah, I mean, this truck model looks absolutely phenomenal. I'm a huge fan. I didn't have a problem with any of the models from NASCAR Heat 5 or 21 Ignition for that matter. I thought that the games looked fine. Just, NASCAR Heat 5 being not on Unreal Engine, there's limitations for that, which I get it. And the NASCAR 21 Ignition just had the Cup Series for both of the Cup car models, or sets of Cup car models between the Gen 6 and 7. So, I mean, I think that this looks great. I think this game is going to be massive.
This game being all about the driver's perspective is the interaction that...
And this is cool. So, obviously, you got Go Practice, Crew Chief, Quit Session. Practice, it shows a little practice with a team goal here. You could advance to next section. Here's a 25 work in progress. So this is probably Texas, I'd imagine. But this crew chief section right there, I'm really curious about that feature. I think that's obviously going to be more the garage, like your setups. It'll give you like lap times. It'll probably break down telemetry data, stuff like that. You'll be able to make qualifying setups, race setups. Hopefully, unlike the Heat series, you can make multiple setups and they will be available through every racing mode that you have in the game. Because the biggest qualm that I had with those games was your career mode setups were separate from your regular race setups, and it was annoying to copy and paste every single setup for every single series, because I don't want to race career mode all the time. Sometimes I just want to go run around and race. So hopefully it's just like a hopefully it's just a data bank, and say you're at Daytona and you save a setup, you can load that setup across any mode of racing, and then you can obviously create your race and your qualifying setups, but you can load them in between the different race modes. Obviously, I could understand if like the online setups are a little bit different from that, because they've always been that way in games past, which I'd be fine with. But please, iRacing, please, my only wish list item for this game is make your setups available across all game modes. That'd be a big thumbs up.
Drivers have between themselves and their crew chief and their spotter. So that's something that we're really focusing on while you're in the car, while you're driving, while you're in the menus, making it feel less like a UI screen and more like an interaction between you and them.
So we've really...
Yeah, so I'm curious as to how that would work. Like, if you have a headset and you're playing the game, can you just talk into your headset and say, crew chief, I'm loose in 1 and 2 and I'm tight in 3 and 4, and it would kind of find a balance to make on your, or an adjustment to make on your setup. And then the other thing to that too is, would it save that setup for the next time you go to that track, or does it go to the default saved setup or whatever setup you loaded into the race with? I'm kind of curious as to how that works. It sounds like a really cool concept. Like, could you say, I'm loose in, tight middle, tight off, and it'll kind of give you a couple of options to work on the car under a pit stop or something. Like, it sounds like a really cool concept. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just curious as to how that would work.
Put together the most amazing team that I can think of to build a NASCAR game. We've got decades of experience across many of us, across every platform imaginable. We've got laser scanned assets. We've got amazing driving physics. We've got literally a company that has been built on the foundation of being authentic and true to the sport. And you add all those things together, and it's really this recipe to make the best NASCAR experience possible.
For more information about the game, visit NASCAR25.com, where you can...
So, yeah, guys, I mean, this game is shaping up. This game is shaping up to look kind of incredible. I'm not gonna lie. There's a couple of things that I'm curious as to how the implementations would work, obviously, like the crew chief thing that they were talking about. I'm curious as to how that would work. I'm curious to know if their setups will be savable to where you could load them into any game mode that you go in, whether you're just, like, if you go to a track, like if you go to testing mode and you save a setup, can you then load that setup in race now and career mode? That's like one of the biggest things that I want to know, because again, with the Heat 5 series, I don't want to race in one mode all the time, and having the option to just say, I already know I got setups for this track, load the setup and just go. I'm again curious to know how building the your shop is. Does it start as just a pole barn and then you got separate shops for each series, or once you get to the Cup Series and you make your big shop, are all of your series just kind of split into individual sections of the shop? But guys, I mean, this game I have a lot of anticipation for. The only thing that scares me is that Monster Games is developing it, but they also have the backing of iRacing, which iRacing has a lot of people from the Papyrus days. They also have people on their team from the golden era of the EA days. I know that they have some people from Eutechnics. I mean, they have people from all over the map when it comes to NASCAR games. But yeah, gamers, NASCAR gamers specifically, let me know your comments down below. Are you excited for the NASCAR 25 game? I think it looks fantastic. Seeing that truck model for the first time, like I said, I think it's just a direct port from iRacing at the moment. I think that it'll be subject to change as you get into, alpha build, and then you start adding in like shaders and depth and all these other things that the Unreal 5 engine offers. I think it'll start to look different than iRacing. But I really would like to see a developer diary where they show an ARCA model a truck model Xfinity and a Cup model. I think that'd be really cool. Maybe also some screenshots of maybe a testing session where you got just a couple of, black and white race cars going around the racetrack. But yeah, my friends, this is NASCAR 25 Developer Diary Episode 3. It focused on the career mode. Hopefully, we get a developer diary that breaks down some features, maybe testing and tuning, maybe something like that. But yeah, again, drop your comments down below, and yeah, we'll catch you in the next one, guys.